And here we go, folks. It's time for Culver-Stockton basketball action. It's Luke Schoenfielder here at Joe Charles Fieldhouse, and alongside me,
Carter Knake.
And we're bringing you all the action for the next 2.5 hours as the Wildcats will play host to conference rivals, the Peru State College Bobcats. Peru State currently ranked number 11 in the country. Carter, you've been watching them the whole time. What do you think we're going to see today?
We're going to see a very, very tough battle here today. As everyone knows, Wildcats are amazing at home. When I did my interview with Coach Hill the other day, which is on the CSC Wildcats under Podcats, he talked about how important it is to be at home. And right now they're going through this second time through the conference. We labeled it a revenge tour. So this is their second opportunity at Peru State. Wasn't a very good game their first round through, but now since they're at home, I'm expecting a whole different atmosphere. And hopefully they can pull out a win here tonight in front of all the alumni.
I love that title for it, Revenge Tour. You talked about how this is the second time through the conference, and a couple big ones to look at. William Penn University comes into town at Culver and ends up beating the Wildcats 105, or that was a 80, I can't even find it anymore. I'm that bad. 105-78 final between the Wildcats and William Penn. And then all of a sudden we talk about this revenge tour, and the Wildcats take off, head to William Penn for the day, and end up taking a 1-point victory in overtime, 93-92. And I think that revenge tour sums it up. We'll get back to this pregame look at everything in a moment, but first the national anthem. And there you have it, folks, our national anthem performed by none other than the Wildcats home a cappella group Ocho this evening, giving us a great rendition of the national anthem to kickstart today's game. Carter, I believe you have the starting lineups right now.
Yes, I do, and let's go through the number 11 Peru State College Bobcats. Starting out for the Bobcats, number 1, Jamil Madrid, the senior forward from Camden, New Jersey. Number 5, Brandon Jones, a senior guard/forward, 6'6" from Houston, Texas. Number 10, Keyshawn Wilson. Number 11, Deontay McReynolds. And number 22, Lyle Hexum. Now going through that lineup, a very star-studded lineup. And I know you had a talk with Coach Hill before the game, and one guy that stood out was Lyle Hexum. He is a very, very dominant player for that Bobcat team, being very active on the boards and rebounds and also points. And another big guy you need to mention, number 10, Keyshawn Wilson, very alive from that three-point range. Got to be careful here for the Wildcats. And now for your men's basketball again, number 3, Mike Johnson, the senior guard from Jackson, Michigan. Number 10, Thaddeus Newby, the junior guard from Chicago Heights. Number 15, Colin Smith, the forward from Lansing, Michigan. He was on that podcast yesterday, and you can still check that out on cscwildcats.com.
I'll tell you what, that Colin Smith, I talked to him before the game, you know, having been one of those guys who's around Colin quite consistently. And he gave me he told me, I said, Colin, you better give me something fun to call the day. And he promised. So let's see how it goes. Speak of the big man, there he is. So a quick little look into what we've got to expect. You said I talked to Coach Hill before the game, and he made it very clear to me. We talked about both Hexham as well as this home court advantage you talked about on this revenge tour. First off, when we talked about being home, Coach Hill looked at me and asked, we've had an even better turnout tonight with all the alumni present, and we hope that this home crowd that we've been so great in front of will play a big deal. As undefeated at home since January 3rd when they played Evangel, and that was also the last time that this building was not packed for a home game for these Wildcats. We also look at Hexham, and he says extremely talented, seems better on the perimeter than on the interior, and that's not a knock on his interior game. So Hexham, definitely a great all-around player as we get ready for the tip-off between Troy Green and Lyle Hexham.
And Troy Green, the final starter for the Wildcats, a very big postman for him, and just like that,
Colin Smith will grab hold of the rebound. And I'm going to try and get my sheets in order here.
And also looking at the records for both teams, Culver Stockton currently in 5th place in that Hart Conference. 13-12 overall, 9-10 in the conference. Pull up from 3, no good for Mike Johnson, rebounded by Peru State. Peru State ranked number 11 in the NAIA. 17-5 overall, 12-4 in the Hart. And they're coming off of a win of 92-58 versus Evangel.
That was a nice shot, no good. Mike Johnson, small fella for the guys, but he plays so big on the court and has done an amazing job for them. Newbie goes out to Troy Green. And we get a little ball movement for Mike Johnson down low. I was eyeballing what I thought were my keys of the game today for the Wildcats prior to this one, and I got to say one of the biggest ones seems as though Mason Byers as well as Mike Johnson, those two that I like to call the headhunters for this squad, needing to get out there and punish, driving directly at Lyle Hexham this whole game. That one off the boards, rebounded by Thaddeus Newby. And rebounded again by Hexham. We still, a silent game so far. A minute and a half has expired in this first half, and a drive. No good. Loose ball brought down by Byers. Seems as though both teams maybe need to take a moment, slow down, and try to use up a little bit more of that shot clock.
And like you said, trying to get Mike Johnson and Mason Byers going early. And don't also forget about number 10, Thaddeus Newby. Great player as he pulls up right now, just off the mark. But that thunder and lightning combo that you always talk about, they're very, very dynamic players, and I wouldn't be surprised if they show up tonight.
They definitely need to, and that's going to come down to the offensive totals for this Wildcat squad as we're going to get a foul tagged, and it's going to send Keyshawn Wilson to the line. And it is going to be on Colin Smith, definitely the guy on this team that we need to talk about when he gets into foul trouble.
And sometimes just being that long at 6'6" can just sometimes be a little bit of a detrimental, you know, try to stick your hand in there, get something out.
And the first one falls. That is Brandon Jones, my apology, and not Keyshawn Wilson. But Jones puts down the first one. He'll have one more. But I kind of want to look at, like I was saying about slowing down right now, 17:57 left in the first half. A 30-second shot clock in the NAIA. Each team's had 3 or 4 possessions so far. Neither team really eating up that shot clock currently. Maybe something to be looked into. Byers is going to take this one across half court and get us going once more. Hexham, though, we got to talk about it. 19.2 per game, as well as 10.1 rebounds, averaging a double-double. But the stat that stuck out to me the most is you can have those offensive guys that produce for you day in and day out. But Culver Stockton season has 61 blocks as a team. And Thaddeus Newby's 3 reflects off the rim and is brought down by Keyshawn Wilson. And a nice finish by Jamil Madrid.
And a quick timeout called by Coach Hill, trying to regroup his troops right now. 17:15 left. And Wildcats just need to find some sort of offense here. And that has been a big stat throughout this season. You see a very big difference between the shot percentages in the first half versus the second half. And usually that just comes with comfortability and just playing for a little bit against a singular team. So very important that they get into that rhythm, become a lot more comfortable, and we're going to see a very different Wildcats team more than likely in the second half. But
yeah, for sure. And back to what I was saying, though, Hexham, one of those guys with 58 blocks alone on his season, and that number is absolutely unbelievable as they have that offensive and defensive stalwart. So once again, we talk about that Byers and Johnson combo of needing to drive to the rack, finish, and try and maybe get Hexham into foul troubles. He plays low in the paint, plays like a 3, but is more of a 5. And no shot finished. And Brandon Jones bricks it off the rim on the nice breakaway opportunity. Back out Cullen Smith. There's the big man.
Oh.
We talked about it already, and there is the shot blocking machine.
Known as Hexham Lyles. And wow.
Lyles
you notice
is just so long.
You notice 6'8" versus 6'6", and just the difference that just 2 inches can make on that.
I want to point out not only the 6'8", but the fact that his fingertip, if you look at Lyles Hexham stand there, his fingertips reach his kneecaps. You've got to imagine he has at least a 7'3", 7'4" wingspan, which add that to 6'8", and he's just going to absolutely dominate in the paint. Now Brandon Jones will go to the line once more, following the foul against Troy Green. He's already made 2. He will miss that one and have one more opportunity. London comes into the game. You talked to Cullen Smith the other day, and he says, who's the most fun guy on the bus on road trips? That man right there, Bryson London. He doesn't quite know why. He just knows he is.
And quite the interview it was. But very important here that the Wildcats get started offensively, whether that starts through Mike Johnson or that starts here with Bryson London now coming in. But something offensively here needs to stir here, or we're going to find the Wildcats in a very, very deep hole early.
3.5 minutes surpassed, 5-0 the score, favoring the Peru State Bobcats. And Mason Vire is going to try and be the crew chief and get something going. Bryson London rotates. Mike Johnson gets the ball. And a nice screen. Cullen Smith sets such a stiff screen. A shot that, Mason Vires wants back, as that's one that he usually makes like nothing. London gets his own rebound and then misses again. Smith the putback. And one for Cullen Smith.
During that interview the other day, Cullen, I asked him, who can we expect to perform here, especially finishing out the season? He gave a very coach answer, everyone's going to do their part and whatnot. But I guarantee you he was really saying in his head, you better watch out for me as he gets the first points for the Wildcats.
You told me about that interview today, and I looked at you and I said, I guarantee he said himself. And I was a little surprised to hear that old Cullen gave the coach answer. Not a cocky guy. But, man, he has all the confidence that one man could need on a basketball court. That one falls for number 11, Deontay McReynolds. We're going to get Mason Byers going the other way for the Wildcats, leading the charge. Mike Johnson. The screens, Cullen Smith, I don't think gets enough credit for it, as it's not something that you get on a stat sheet, and he'll bait another foul right there. But you don't see assists from screens on a stat sheet. And you just saw the screen he set on McReynolds the last time down. As stiff as it gets, there was nowhere for McReynolds to go. And that needs to be something that they just continue to use, as it is a weapon in Cullen Smith's arsenal that is absolutely fantastic. And once more, we got a 3-point game, makes it 4-7.
And you might think, watching this stream right now, Cullen Smith doesn't look like the biggest, beefiest guy, but at 2'10", 6'6", he's a pretty big wall that most guys can't get around, and if he sets his feet in place, it's hard.
So Tyrone Carey Jr. checks into the game as Cullen Smith misses his third free throw of the day. And now a drive from a quick pump fake. And it's going to be Madrid who puts this one down. And we have a 5-point game once more, the largest lead of this one in the first 5 minutes. Carey rolls over Troy Green's screen. Back out to Bryson London. London, couple dribble moves before and it picks up his dribble and looks to find a pass. He gets to Viers. Viers looked like he got tipped. Mike Johnson from long. No good. Loose ball, and there's Hexum. He's been quiet so far, but he's been doing what he's needed to.
Very interesting call. I heard Bob Ludwig, the head coach of the Bobcats, calling out for a trap right there. So I'm wondering if that's a implement of the Bobcats defense that we might see here tonight.
There's Hexum down low, 2 more. I can tell you I watched the opening game of the season of this series. It wasn't pretty, but the trap was definitely something this team was not scared to use. Troy Green, what a solid screen before Mike Johnson pops from 3. No good. Loose ball, Cullen Smith. Fires. Doubled by Carey and Walker. Then that one, no good from Cullen Smith. His mid-range game, definitely something that has been getting stronger this entire season. Down low, tipped away by Byers, but then Colin Smith will be the last one to touch it, and it will stay with the Bobcats. Into the game will be number 13, Terry Moore.
And also into the game, number 30, Jacob Happel for the Wildcats long. Checking back in, number 10, Thaddeus Newby.
Happel, definitely one of those guys that we've seen his on and offs this season of being part of this unit for the Wildcats, but definitely being able to fill Troy Green's spot when he needs a break, as well as Cullen Smith's. But a nice play by Carey, and that's going to be 2 more. And the lead will stretch to 9 for Peru State. 13:43 left in our first half of action here from Joe Charles Fieldhouse on Culver Stockton College's wonderful Canton, Missouri campus. And there's Mike Johnson. I think I made this comparison enough. We compare thunder and lightning in the form of Thaddeus Newby and Mike Johnson. I almost look at them like a Clay and Curry combo, but at the same time, Mason Viers and Mike Johnson, very similar to that combination of a DeMar DeRozan and a James Harden. The slashers that get to the bin when they need to. 2 points there being tagged on from Carey. And it will be a 9-point game. And we'll take a quick moment and be right back in just a second. And here we go with 13-12 left on the clock, 15-6 the score in favor of the Peru State Bobcats. I'm Luke Schoenfelder, joined by
Carter Kinnick.
And we're ready to get back to the action. As the inbound is going to be coming from Jacob Happel, he'll be looking to get Thaddeus Newby involved. It's Newby, London, Happel, Smith, and Johnson out for the Wildcats, where on the other end of the court it is Moore, Carey, Hexum, Wilson, and Madrid. Newby, 3. Not quite. Brought down by Carey, and it's going to be going the other way. Carey kicks out. And a little bit of ball movement.
And already we're seeing Wildcats in a pretty big predicament, being down by 9 points. Now we see a trap coming towards Hexum, so maybe a little wrinkle in the game that Coach Hill wants out of his Wildcats right now. Ball goes out of bounds in favor of the Wildcats. And here to check in, number 24, Troy Green is checking in for Colin Smith.
So Smith will take a break. Green comes on into this one. You know, we looked at a couple different details. One of my favorite things to look at when you look at these successful teams, such as the 17-5 Peru State Bobcats, is their points allowed compared to points per game, and allowing just under 74 points a game, while at the same time being able to put up over 83. Just a consistent stat line that you've got to imagine is something that they are very proud of. And it looks like the foul is going to be called. It is on number 13, Carey, or that is going to be on Moore. And Hexham might not be very happy with Moore getting that foul because he sent that thing into the 5th row.
Yeah, he was just eyeing down Bryson London that entire time, and he didn't even have to really raise his arm all that much. He just swatted that thing away as hard as he could.
There is a reason for when people can lead an entire league with 58 blocks, and it is moments like that when you just send it into the 12th row with no remorse, and he did just that. And he'll put the second one down, making this a 7-point game. Coach, you want to talk about the honor of Coach Hill? A huge opportunity there as a mistake made over on the side of our scorekeepers as they had an extra point for the Wildcats. But he was the man to vocalize that that extra point had been put up and had it taken down. So a nice job in the honor category for Coach Hill as the points there come from Brandon Jones. Ooh. Nice pump from Happel. London for 3.
And there we go,
And
3 points.
That home, 11-17 our score, 6 points the difference. And hopefully that will ignite a spark as that is the first triple of this one made from either team. Hopefully something coming. Brandon Jones, very big down low.
As I want to notice right at the table right now, Hexham is getting ready to check in, but also number 4, Jeremiah Jackson, affectionately known as JJ on the squad.
Oh yeah, JJ. I got a chance to have Pat Robinson up here call a game with me last week. Pat's JJ's roommate, and you know JJ comes out every week for being one of the smallest dudes on the court, and yet puts up a consistent scoring opportunity and does a wonderful job to be just a spark plug for this squad at that point guard position. And now Thaddeus Newby going to drive against Carey, but gets stripped. Into the game that I had not been aware of was Nicholas Worm, number 4. And 2 more added there from Brandon Jones, who now has 9 on the game.
Troy Green backing down. Ball mishaps, and Bryson London looked like he might have tripped up right there, as now Bobcats trying to respond right now, extend this 8-point lead out. Mason Byers getting ready to check back in.
And here comes Carey, but a nice job by the Wildcats to not let that happen. And a foul, I believe, maybe on Worm, as he did get the wrist of Mike Johnson. And another foul, another timeout taken, I believe, by the Wildcats. It might be a media timeout, actually.
Yep, media timeout, under 10. 9:54 left in this one. Wildcats find themselves down by 8. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the action from the Charles Fieldhouse. And welcome back to the action here at the Charles Fieldhouse in Canton, Missouri, on the beautiful campus of Culver Stockton College, as Jeremiah Jackson takes care of the ball.
Quickly stolen away by Nicholas Worm. Worm makes quick work of getting the ball back in possession of the Peru State Bobcats. Hexham is back in. Jackson in for his first minutes of this one. Moore sends it down to Hexham, a double team there. Still, the scariest part about this Hexham is that we haven't even seen Worm for three. Was when I was talking to Coach Hill before the game. He says he might be a center, but he's got one of his range game might be better than his down low. And that thought with that 6'9", 6'8" frame. And London for a second time.
And that's something really scary. You're seeing a lot more of that, not just in the NBA, but college basketball in general.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of big men that can go outside, and that causes a lot of matchup disadvantages for a lot of teams. And
here we're going to see it. Hexham, no good. Loose ball. Thaddeus Newby's going to get on top of it and go one-on-one with Moore. Back to Vyers. And Vyers is going to take a hard foul. Emma McKinstry, one of our soccer players, underneath the bucket, got a good clean look at that one as she jumped up, and I'm looking at her, shaking her face right now in fear after she saw Mason coming directly at her. One of the team photographers, she does a great job. Is if you look at any of these guys' Twitter profiles, you know exactly where those pictures came from. First one for Vyers is off the front rim, back rim, around the entire rim, and out. That hit everything but the bottom of the net. And Vyers will have one more opportunity back in. It does look like it is the starting platoon. It is indeed. So that is going to be Madrid, Jones, Wilson, McReynolds, and Hexham. Second one falls for Mason Vyers, cutting the lead down to 7. Also back into the game, Jeremiah. So in the squad for the Wildcats right now, Troy Green, Jeremiah Jackson, Mike Johnson, Mason Vyers, and Bryson London. Speak of Bryson London, there's the snag. Does a great job of taking that one. Jeremiah Jackson, little mid-range jumper. 2.
Hey. And now you see little Jeremiah Jackson just pull up right there. Amazing play by him right now. The 5'6", 135 from Florissant, Missouri.
Just a spark plug for such a small guy. And they're going to tag Troy Green, and Aaron Hill not happy with that call. 2 shots will be given to Lyles Hexham.
And that's going to be Troy's second. So, and of course we see Colin Smith ready to check in right now.
I believe that's going to be near the end of Troy Green's first half. Hexham's first shot falls. Yep. And Troy Green's going to come on out. We'll see if he comes back in soon. However, not an extremely high expectation of that. Troy Green, one of those guys you definitely want to save for as late in the game as possible. And Hexham's second misses Bryson London the rebound. The Wildcats doing a nice job keeping this game still fairly close. 6 points, the difference. Looking to try and spark their offense a little bit more. There's the big man Smith out to Vyers. Vyers down to Mike Johnson in the corner. He's going to pop for 2, and that's going to fall. And that will cut the lead down to 4. And all of a sudden, we talk about Jeremiah Jackson being a spark plug. Well, now that he's on the court, they have not missed since he's entered the game. But Hexham with some nice moves. It's impressive to see that kind of movement from a big man.
It is. And to see that well with moving with the ball. Very impressive.
Beyond. And here comes Mike Johnson. I was talking to a couple of my other buddies on the sides, and Mike Johnson, a shot he usually makes, brought down there. I was talking to him a little bit earlier, and they said this Hexham, they believe, is a Division I transfer power forward. And Aaron Hill is not happy.
As we're going to get a quick 30-second timeout here by the Wildcats. It's Coach Hill voicing his frustration.
And you and I both know well, Coach Hill is not one to get worked up about many things. So when that starts to happen, you understand. But I give the man his credit. He gets the most out of his players day in and day out. And I think I've said that numerous times this year. Has been the coach that this program wanted to bring in.
And something also big to notice right now, the main guy for the Wildcats, Mike Johnson, only having 4 points up to this point. So, and I've said it in the past, whenever I start jinxing him, as soon as that happens, he usually goes off. So hopefully I'm right in this situation, and we might see a quick Culver turnaround on a run.
We'll see what happens there. Here comes Vyers down low, but it looks like the pass just out of the reach of Cullen Smith. And we're going to see the ball go back the way of Peru State with 6:47 left in our first half of action. You know, I talked about it last week when I had Pat up here. Dr. Kelly Thompson, the president of Culver Stockton College, can you ask for a more supportive woman to be at the head of your school? As she sits directly across from us and never once takes her eyes off the action.
Amazing.
And that's for every sporting event on this campus. What a pass from the big man, Hexum. And then gets the rebound and the loose ball foul tagged on Jared Cosby.
And like you said, President Thompson, very, very great woman. We are very, very blessed to have her here on campus. You will see her everywhere. She will be cheering. She'll be arguing with the officials about fouls and everything. So
I'll tell you, she's not one that I just want to start arguing with. I get a little scared.
Yeah,
she's a lovely lady, but oh man.
I feel like she's like that grandma or that mother that everyone has. And
Thaddeus Newby. Just with the robbery. And they're going to whistle that a travel. And it looks like a little frustration in the crowd, but I believe Cullen did step. And there's a little Cullen head over across from us in the stands.
Great to see a bunch of alumni here for the alumni game.
That shot, no good. Loose ball. Mike Johnson will go grab it. Cosby a pump. Out to Smith. Smith goes and finds Johnson, who gets the ball moving around the edge before it winds up with Vyers, who makes the move. And that ends up in the hand of Mike Johnson, 15 on the shot clock. Newby back out to Vyers. Vyers, one dribble move. Call that for three. And all of a sudden, this Wildcats team is 3 for 3 from three in the last 3 attempts.
Amazing to see just that effectiveness from the three-point range, and hopefully that carries over for the rest of this game as Cullen comes down with that board.
And the look on the face of Keyshawn Wilson says he wanted the whistle.
And right there, Thaddeus Newby, obviously not the biggest guy here, as Hexum just completely takes care of that ball. And there's nothing a whole lot you can do when you're bringing that ball up and you have a 6'8" guy looking to block you. So
we talk about having a reach like that. It is absolutely unbelievable. 7'4", what the wingspan looks like, with the pure fact his elbows or his fingertips come to his knees, and they're going to call it a charge against Brandon Jones.
As a little bit of back and forth here between Mike Johnson and Jones.
And I just take a minute to point out, you know, this last time that the Wildcats met up with this Peru State squad, the final score ended up being 105-56. Could you imagine the motivator if the Wildcats are able to keep this one close into the half?
Exactly, and that's a very big thing, especially with the Hart Conference and how it's set up.
And that's going to be a foul tagged against Jamil Madrid. My apologies, it's on Tyron Carey. And Colin Smith, who's 2 for 3 from the line so far, and this one will have another 2 shots.
And just like that, the Wildcats find themselves in the bonus with about 4.5 left.
And Tyrone Carey asking the referee where the foul was at, but it seemed pretty distinct that the wrist had contact made. And the second shot from Smith will fall. So he's now 4 for 5 on the afternoon from the free throw line. 3 points, our gap. Coach Aaron Hill telling us guys to prepare for everything here. And here comes Madrid. Worm, wide open, Hexham. No good. Over the backboard and out. And the Wildcats will get the ball down by 3 with 4:09 in our first half.
And a very big change of pace right here. Wildcats need to stay effective, and they need to make sure they get something out of this possession. Cut that lead either down to 1 or tie this game up.
Back out to Johnson. Couple quick moves from Mike Johnson down low off the foot of Happel. And that will send the ball back the other way. And if there was anything that they didn't want right there, it was that kind of turnover. Needing to be careful with the ball when playing against this high caliber of a team.
As that might not be a game-deciding possession right there, but that determines a lot of energy to go around to finish out this first half if the Wildcats tie this thing up.
Also, one thing to be watched is the offensive glass in this game.
Seeing a lot of offensive rebounds for Peru State. Hopefully Wildcats can reciprocate that.
Here comes Johnson out to Vyers. Vyers a quick move from the baseline. It will fall.
Trying to get that and one from Mason Vyers, but nothing happening there.
Bryson London set to check back in with 3:10 left on our game clock in the first half. Wildcats down by 3. Trying to snatch that away from Hexham. Hexham will get the finger roll and the fall. And a Peru State timeout. We'll take a quick break before we come back for the last 3 minutes of this first half. Are you judging my dancing, Carter?
No, not yet, but welcome back to the action here at the Fieldhouse. I'm Carter Kinnick, and I'm joined by
Luke Schoenfelder. We're bringing you all the action this afternoon. This game, just 3 minutes remaining in our first half of action. The Wildcats take on number 11, Peru State. Mike Johnson there trying to cut the lead to 2. The rebound from Colin Smith. Again, a big important thing to watch for. London, who's been hot and stays hot. 3 from Bryson London. And we've got a 2-point game on our hands. Again, this home environment for the Wildcats seems to be one of the most crucial pieces of their season as they start to wind down, looking to try and make a playoff run. Could you imagine a home seat advantage for anything right now with the Wildcats?
And like we've mentioned earlier, having home court advantage, let alone for this Wildcat team, is very important, and they tend to play a lot better at home. As Wildcats find themselves down by 4, 2 minutes left.
If I'm a visiting team, one of the last places in the country I want to travel to play in their stadium is Culver Stockton College. Bryson London, some nice moves, and then it looks like he crashed into Cullen Smith when they went up for it. The last loss that this Wildcat team has taken in front of their home crowd came on November 9th, or November 14th of last year against William Penn University when they came into town in only the 5th game of the season. If that does not tell you the home environment that this team flourishes in. Now, they lost at home to Evangel back over Christmas break in January 3rd. However, it's why we've talked about in front of their home crowd, as when the fans are here and on campus, this team plays like no other. Currently only 2 losses truly in front of their home crowd, Missouri Baptist and William Penn on the season for the Wildcats. A minute left in our first half before we take a break. During that break, we'll shut down for a little bit and a charge going to be taken by Brandon Jones.
And I just want to point out something right there. The selflessness of number 3, Mike Johnson.
Absolutely cannot be discredited. One of the smaller guys on this team, but he is willing to take the elbow from the very large Brandon Jones. Jones measuring in at 6'6", 6'6" senior. But Mike Johnson was willing to take it on at 5'10", 5'11". Nice moves. London for 3 again. No good. His first miss from 3. Happel rebounds. And Cullen Smith puts it down. We've got 2. The gap. Shot clock and game clock separated by only 3 seconds. Potentially going to try and just eat up this last shot, but Brandon Jones, or my apologies, Jamil Madrid is going to take it to the rack, and with 15 seconds, the Wildcats will run some clock off and try and just pull up one more shot before this one expires, now with only 7 seconds remaining. And it's going to be a Peru State ball with 1.9, and that will most likely be our end of the first half. Score is 37-33. Wildcats trail Peru State by 4. And that's going to be the end of our first half. So, Carter, anything you want to say about that first half before we take a break?
I say the Wildcats are sticking with it. This number 11 team in the nation, a very, very different atmosphere. And I can say, with all honesty, I'm expecting a much better Wildcats offensive performance in this second half.
I'm ready for it. So we'll take a quick break and be back in just a little bit. Give you a recap of the first. Let's run it back. Here we go, 1:30 left until the second half of action underway. Culver Stockton trails the Peru State Bobcats 33-37 currently. We are super hyped. And, we're watching college basketball and enjoying it. And I just get an update. Number 2, Duke, and number 3, University of Virginia, about to tip off. Oh, Zion Williamson back at it again. So 33-37, your score. Carter, you got some stats in front of you. Let's see what you got.
All right. So some key stats I want to point out for this first half. Obviously, we have to look at number 22, Lyle Hexum, for this Peru State team, being a very, very effective player for them. 5 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line with 4 boards already. And, of course, 2 blocks. He's just adding to his season total overall. Amazing player. And you're probably more than likely going to see a lot more of him in the second half. But the biggest thing I wanted to point out was the shooting percentages between the teams. 48.5 for Peru State and 37.9 for the Wildcats. And like I've said in that first half, the Wildcats always shoot a lot better going into the second half. Only being down by 4 points, very big change. Another thing, Mike Johnson and Thaddeus Newby. Mike Johnson 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Thaddeus Newby 0 for 5 from the field. Those are very key components of their offense, and they're just not clicking to the level that they're used to. But as soon as those two get going, I guarantee you Culver can come out and possibly get a pretty good lead in this thing in the second half. But first, they need to focus on getting ahead
now.
Right
some
now.
Credit I want to give out Bryson London. We talked about him when he came into the game there in the first half. We were saying he came in when the Wildcats still down 0-5, expecting him to need to put something, or somebody to put something, get something going. Well, he was 3 for 4 from the three-point line and added 9 for the Wildcats, and there's Hexum. My apology, Brandon Jones is the one who put that one down. But Brandon Jones, I mean, those big men down low are absolutely dominant for this Peru State team. And there's Troy Green, who's back into the game for his first minutes since coming out with 2 fouls earlier. Mike Johnson for 3. And 36-39. Carter, you looked at me and rolled your eyes the second I said it because you knew it was coming. And let thunder begin to roll, and hopefully the lightning's about to strike with Thaddeus Newby.
And you'll see that as soon as I talk bad about Mike Johnson not doing one thing, he just turns around and does it. So
there's the brick coming from Deontay McReynolds. Hex. And that's an answer back from Keyshawn Wilson. And that'll be, they're now just trading blows as who can hit the long ball better here. Troy Green setting the plays up, matched up on Brandon Jones. Mike Johnson, no good. Decides Vyers drive, front feet on the line, that's 2. And it'll still be a 4-point game. Definitely the more punishing team from 3 has been the Wildcats with a 33% field goal from deep, whereas only 11% coming from Peru State from long range. Hexum is good for 2. The higher field goal percentage has been for Peru State. However, the better shot percentage from long has gone to the Wildcats. Smith goes back to Green. Green gets the ball moving, ends up with Vyers. Newby a cut, then Mike Johnson with the ball. Johnson, step back, 2. No good, loose ball. And it's going to be recovered by Wilson. Wilson, that's his team set up a little bit. Hexum, drive, no. Back out. Madrid, no. Rebound from Mason Vyers, and it's going the other way. Wildcat basketball. Vyers, another quick move. Johnson, pump fake, no. Quick moves and good way of handling it. Did he just do what I think he did? I'm pretty sure he just looked Jamil Madrid directly in the eye and did the "you can't see me" waving the hand in the face. But Hexum was sure able to see Mason Vyers there. Another brick and brought down by Newby.
Missed opportunity for the Bobcats right there. Wildcats looking to respond.
Nice mid-range from Colin Smith, and it'll fall. And all of a sudden, it's a 4-point game and a timeout taken by Peru State's coach Brian Ludwig.
As now we're just seeing a different change of pace right now. shots finally starting to fall. Wouldn't be surprised if we see other things happen here for the Wildcats as we get later in this game.
The Wildcats came out of the second half hot, ready to play, and they knew they had to. They had to put the pedal to the metal with this Peru State team.
My biggest question is to see what Peru State's trying to figure out with that timeout. As we're going to get an inbound here.
What changes will we see offensively and defensively from Peru State as Wilson takes up with the screen set by Jones. Hexum from long range. And we didn't see any of that in the first half, but he drains that. Just such a clean stroke from range. Effortlessly made it drop. Mike Johnson, though, trying to answer back. No good. Loose ball, and it is brought down by Hexum. I believe that is Hexum's 7th rebound on the game, if I'm not mistaken. 3rd of the half. Loose ball is going to go out of bounds, and it will be Wildcat basketball. The double-double machine that is Dante Hexum, averaging 10.2 rebounds and 19.2 points a game.
Already with 16 points in this one.
As well as, I believe, now 7 rebounds, 13 points also being tagged on by Brian Jones. Back out, Newbie. No good, Hexum. There's Hexum's next rebound. I think we're in for another double-double from him. And some quick motion, no. And then a little bit off on the pass attempt from Jones. Johnson fires, 3. No good. Missed opportunity there the Wildcats had on the fast break.
And that's something that the Wildcats need to limit now, is they need to, not only create more possessions, either through offensive rebounds or forcing turnovers, but they need to capitalize on those opportunities, because if not, it might just be a long game for these Wildcats.
They also need to prevent those offensive rebounds down low as Hexum puts that one back up. And we could hear it all the way from here. Coach Aaron Hill saying you got to get that as the easy. Offensive rebound gets brought down by Hexum, and he'll make it a 9-point Peru State lead with us now almost 5 minutes surpassed in the second half of action.
So right now, Wildcats find themselves down by 9. And it's going to be interesting to see if and how they respond to this Peru State team. Peru's ranked number 11 for a reason. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how they overcome playing a very good team, because once you get into that postseason run, you're going to be playing really great teams. You're going to be playing the William Penns, the Benedictines of the world. And that also reminds me, next game for these Wildcats is going to be home on the 16th at 4 p.m. against Benedictine. Benedictine ranked number 3 currently in the NAIA. Very, very powerful squad. And
what can you say about Benedictine College besides they have got to be one of the top-ranked teams across the NAIA in general? You know, went to the Final 2 in football this season, now ranked number 3 in men's basketball. Aren't they like ranked 2 in women's basketball as well? Like, when you look at that Benedictine squad, there is just so much great things going on at that school. As Mike Johnson does have control.
Working around the outside right now, Jeremiah Jackson. As now we find Mike Johnson taking it. Oh, it's a little slipped up right there and tripped. And we're going to get a jump.
We're going to call it a shot clock violation, actually.
Coach Hill trying to voice his frustrations to the officials, as Jeremiah Jackson's going to play a lot of defense right there on Keyshawn Wilson. Working that ball in the post. And they're going to call a foul, I believe, on Troy Green in the post. He was right behind him right there, and that's going to tag up Troy Green for his third personal foul.
Yeah, and that's something that you cannot have with being trailing by 9 with 14 minutes remaining. This could be trouble.
As using that big body of Haxum, trying to set a bunch of screens.
And yeah, he's going to get the ball down low again, and he is just going to go body to body with Cullen Smith. And then gets his own board and puts it back.
He is just a massive player for this Peru State team, and Cullen needs to find a way to guard him, or this might be a very big game for Haxum. He has already 20 points in this game and quite a few rebounds. Cullen with the answer. Wildcats still find themselves down by 9, under 14 left here to go in the field house on the beautiful campus of Culver-Stockton College in Canton, Missouri. I'm Carter Kinnick, and I'm joined by
Luke Schoenfelder. We're bringing you all the action. This has been a good one. The Wildcats kind of letting it get away right now, but a traveling violation called, and there's the three-point splash coming from Keyshawn Wilson. However, it was after the violation, so we'll see it go Wildcat basketball. 13:35 left on the clock. Mike Johnson matched up on Madrid. And a nice move by Mike Johnson. Well, we started to hear the thunder roll. We're waiting for the lightning to strike. Because once that happens, we're going to be in for a game. And stacked away by Mike Johnson with a nice quick move there. Moves it out. Jeremiah Jackson, what a move. And the little fella made it work. London goes and gets a board and goes and puts it back. And all of a sudden, we've got a 5-point basketball game.
As basketball is a game of runs, you'll see one team go for 10 or so points, and you'll see the Wildcats. They've had two very impressive runs in their last two games. 11-2 run against Evangel that wasn't enough to make it up in that second half, and a 21-0 run earlier against Grandview. Just trying to pick up the foul right there. Mike Johnson trying to give out his body yet again.
And Madrid ends up shanking that off the front iron, and that one falls though. I believe that is Blake Peterson to check in. It's either Blake Peterson or Michael Wardy. That's exactly who it is. It's going to be Michael Wardy, number 34. And we got our wonderful Culver-Stockton cheerleading squad coming on out.
.25 left in this game. Wildcats down by 7. Shots need to fall, and they need to finish possessions on offense right now. Find a way to get Mike Johnson and Thaddeus Newby rolling in this one. Currently, Mike only with 9 points.
Thaddeus with 0. Currently a struggle for the two leaders on this team. However, a nice job by many players, including number 2, Bryson London, and Cullen Smith. I told you he said he was going to do something get fun to call today. As he's dropped 12, as well as Bryson London's 11. And I got to tell you, sometimes our DJs that are here at the field house, the Joe Charles Field House, they do a great job. But man, could you have played this song a little bit earlier?
Exactly, a little bit of shell shocked as Jeremiah Jackson's going to run the point here for the Wildcats.
And here we go. We got Cullen Smith back out to Mike Johnson. Johnson's going to set up and a quick move back. Interesting guy who's been one of the most clutch players on the team is Thaddeus Newby, who is not on the court right now. 10 seconds on the shot clock, 12 minutes left in the game. Jackson moves to London. London down low. Smith gets a hold of it. Byers has no time but to shoot it and unloads. 4-point game as Mason Byers tags 3 more on for the Wildcats. That looked like just a prayer of a shot with 1 second left on the shot clock, and it falls. Again, we look forward to that trip with Benedictine coming to town. The Wildcats with a nice opportunity here to start trying to raise their rankings as they get ready for playoffs. Undefeated Benedictine would be an amazing night to knock off. And Hexham got the arm up, and Jackson tried to get slippery to get out of the way, but ends up losing the ball in the process. 11:25 left in our game.
Good idea right there by Jeremiah Jackson. He would have been swatted probably all the way into his bench right there.
That one might have gotten to poor Miss Kelly Thompson over on the opposite side of us. Byers is going to be tagged for a foul.
As the Wildcat fans voicing their opinions about call that they think should have gone the other way, but
Deontay McReynolds misses his first shot. He'll have one more. Worm set to check back in, as well as number 20, Tyrone Carey. Michael Wardy never did come in. However, 1 point did fall on that second free throw from McReynolds before he gets taken out for Tyrone Carey. Probably my favorite thing about JJ is you look at him on the court, and he has always got a smile. No matter what kind of moment of the game it is, that kid is always cheesing. A nice screen set by Troy Green. Call it the green screen right there. And a dish out, Jeremiah Jackson from three. No, loose ball is rebounded by Worm. Who's going to try and pick up the pace before finding Madrid. And then he's going to get his own triple. No good. Loose ball. Jeremiah Jackson the rebound. Byers going to have a chance to go against Carey. And two more will fall for the Wildcats.
Game within three here for the Wildcats. Under 10.5 here at the field house.
One shot could change everything at any moment in this one. Picked by Mike Johnson.
And he's going to get fouled on the floor.
Worm is going to be called for the block. And Mike Johnson's got the ball. Wildcats have possession with 10:13 left on the clock with a three-point game. And this is what we need to see. The Wildcats had these opportunities in the first half. However, we're not at the very start of the second half as well, but we're not able to get many good possessions. Needing to get some marks on the board during these clutch performance possessions. Thaddeus Newby still not on the court for the Wildcats. Kind of an interesting choice, however, has been cold today.
The Wildcats finding themselves within three here with a possession to finally turn the tide in this one. A lot of back and forth here. This could be their opportunity. Jeremiah Jackson.
What a move, and glassed. He got glassed by Brandon Jones. A nice play from the big 6.5-foot senior. And then Hexham gets blocked by Colin Smith. And then I believe it's going to be Mike Johnson. If it's Troy Green is not happy. It is tagged on Johnson. That is his first. Still only 9 between Johnson and Newby. And Peru State will take their time for a full timeout with 9:50. We'll take a media timeout and take a break, and we'll be right back in just a little bit.
And welcome back to the action here from the field house as Haxum is at the line for the Peru State Bobcats, shooting his first of two.
First one is no good. You came out of nowhere on me, Carter. I was just sitting here, and all of a sudden I just hear you talking. But we're back to the action. Lyle Hexum has got one more shot. The scoreboard reads 54-51 in favor of the visiting Peru State Bobcats. Second one does fall for Hexum. So it stretches the lead to a 4-point game. The clock reads 9:51. The sign on the door says Joe Charles Fieldhouse. I'm Luke Schoenfelder, and this is, with me,
Carter Knake.
And our transitions were a little off there.
Now expecting that one, as now we're going to see our big man Troy Green go to the line right now.
Green, a fairly decent free throw shooter for this Culver Stockton squad. 41 for 63, averaging about 65%. Could do better from the line this year, however, has been able to make them when they counted. There's one, and he'll get one more opportunity as he cuts the lead again back to 3. And the second shot from Green falls perfectly clean. And now a huge defensive possession for the Wildcats as a stick here would leave the opportunity. Jump ball whistled, and it's going to be a Wildcats basketball. And all of a sudden, 53-55, the Cats down by 2, and they've got the ball. And with 9:27, this is where they need to have a big-time possession. Cosby leading the offense right now for the Wildcats. Back to Smith. Smith from mid-range, and it's good!
Oh!
We've got a tie ball game, folks. Something we have not seen since the first minutes of this one, as Culver has not led for any of this game. 2:04, we were tied at zeros. Culver would love to get their first lead, and Mike Johnson with a steal.
As we have a technical foul, and that's going to be on the head coach of the Peru State
Ludwig is going to get
Bobcats.
tagged.
Bob Ludwig in his second season going to get tagged for the technical foul, as one of the referees just turned around instantly. He stopped right at the bench, teed him up, and Bob Ludwig is trying to voice his frustrations right now.
So Byers will shoot the technical free throws. Mason Byers, a 96 for 125 shooter, 76.8% from the free throw line. First is good.
And there comes the Wildcats lead.
And for the first time in the game, the Culver Stockton Wildcats lead over the 11th ranked Peru State Bobcats.
Byers coming up with his second free throw.
And this one is up and good. So a 2-point lead for the Wildcats, and they get the basketball.
Very, very good place right now for the Wildcats to capitalize. Very, very interesting timing. It looks like there's a little bit of discussion here between the stripes. As Coach Ludwig trying to voice his frustrations right now.
Maybe try to plead his case a little. I believe the referee says that he got in the way. And now my confusion is to where is Peru State getting the ball from? An unpossessed technical, it should. And off the hands of Troy Green. That one deflected a mile away.
As Troy Green kind of looking back at the official, trying to want that elbow call right there, as he was throwing as many as he could right there.
And a whistle blowing against Peru State.
And Lyle
Hexum gets tagged, and all of a sudden, it's a Wildcat ball up by 2.
And momentum is now swinging, and you can feel it in the atmosphere right now. Under 8:30 here left at the field house.
And nobody on Mike Johnson. What were you thinking? 3 points from Mike Johnson. As I was confused as to where the rotation was going that left Mike Johnson that wide open from range. And there he is. Thaddeus Newby still not in the game. Mike Johnson now has 12.
I'm sorry, I just had to stand up right there. I was excited.
Speaking of which, you know, I always say it. It's all about when I lose the chair.
And this is now the time.
It's time now. If I can ever remember how to work these chairs.
Driving the lane, Haxum gets fouled, and that's going to be on Mike Johnson. That's a fine foul.
So the Wildcats will take a foul, and it will be their fourth, sending Hexham to the line. Hexham has been about 1 for 2, close to 50% all game on his free throws. Probably one of the best turnouts we've had all season for Wildcat basketball. First shot falls for Hexham, and they'll cut the lead to 4, and now a chance to cut this to a 1-basket deficit. And Hexham's second shot bricks right off the front of the rim, and it is Colin Smith with the rebound with 7, just under 8 minutes remaining in this one. Johnson for 3.
And Mike Johnson, he is pumped up. He is ready to go. Mike Johnson, 15 points.
Can you say clutch as the Wildcats now lead by 7. Jeremiah Jackson will get tagged for his first foul. And it'll be the 5th one against the Wildcats. And I see a couple Mike Johnson mini heads out in the crowd. As he did that with a hand in his face, but did not care. Shrugs it off and puts it down. 15 on the shot clock for Peru State. 63-56. The Wildcats are in control. And Johnson wants the jumper there. And they're going to say and one on Troy Green. That'll be Green's 4th. So now potentially going to have to take a couple minutes worth of a sit to make sure that he's available for the end of the game. As Brian Jones will come into this one to shoot the and one. And Bryson London will check in for the Wildcats in place of Troy Green. And this one. And Brian Jones taking a little extra time. No good, loose ball. Hexham's going to be the one to get the board.
That long reach coming into play for Hexham as he
no
shoves
foul,
down.
And down will go Smith. Down will go the basket. 63-60, we've got a 3-point game. Folks, this one is going to come down to the wire, it would appear. Bob Ludwig getting excited. 7 minutes remain in this one between number 11 Peru State and your Wildcats, Mike Johnson.
And there goes Kelly Thompson on her feet, screaming her head off.
With another hand in his face. That is 3 in a row from Mike Johnson from deep. And all of a sudden we talked about him not doing much early. Well, he's got 18 now. 64, 66, 62 after the bucket. Down low.
Under 6.5 here at the field house. Mason Vyers directing traffic right now.
And Vyers, Mike Johnson! Looked like he almost got hit there.
As Colin Smith has to honor.
And he'll answer that as Hexham comes in clutch, as he's now got 27 on this one. Mason Byers up top, now out to Jeremiah Jackson. Jackson looking down low. This one's going to get away. Johnson did step out, it looked like, and it will be Peru State basketball down by 1.
And Jeremiah Jackson's going to get subbed out right here, and here we go.
And Thaddeus Newby's on the court. Thunder, lightning, it's about to go down.
Thaddeus Newby still looking for his first points of this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up right now.
This is that moment of clutch opportunity that men live and die for. Hexham takes that clutch opportunity and drains 3 more. 68-66, Peru State in control. Mason Byers. Back to Newby. Screen set by Smith. Byers. Johnson. I believe they said Johnson stepped out of bounds.
And the crowd is voicing their opinions on that one.
And they are not happy by any means. An opportunity here the Wildcats need to take. Need to come up with an empty possession for Peru State with only 5 left on the clock. Still quite a bit of time. Anyone who knows the game of basketball knows that 5 minutes is about 2 hours worth. And Bob Ludwig enjoyed that one as Hexham drains another 3.
That's wasn't bright. It's Colin Smith trying to get some sort of foul called. There seemed to be a moving screen with that one.
And I don't know what Byers was doing with that shot. Had an open Mike Johnson for 3 on the other end.
And now we're going to see the Peru State Bobcats here in the bonus right now. And a completely different game than the first time around for Peru State and the Wildcats.
And a 1-on-1 opportunity going to come from Jamil Madrid. Shot is up, no good, loose ball. Bryson London goes and gets it.
And we're just making sure everything is in order. Thaddeus Newby running the point right now.
Out to Johnson. Johnson with it in front of Madrid. And a foul is whistled. Mike Johnson will go to the line. So now Hexham with 3. That is something to be careful about. And I think you're going to see Mike Johnson driving directly at Miles Hexham for these last 4.5 minutes, trying to get the big man out of his way. Johnson's first shot is good.
As that's one thing I was surprised about with Coach Hill, not directly stating that try to get Hexham in foul trouble and get him off the floor, because right now Hexham has 33 points.
That I went into this when I came in and I said my keys to the game. I immediately assumed that would be one of the biggest pieces of the Wildcats game plan would be direct drive, Lyle Hexham, get him out of the game as fast as you can. That didn't happen, and we've got ourselves a game with Lyle Hexham having 33. That's 2. Yeah, it comes from Johnson, from Brandon Jones. And now Jeremiah Jackson. Mike Johnson went from long range. Seemed like he went down. And now tempers seem to be flaring as Mike Johnson does foul Jamil Madrid, who missed his 1-and-1 first shot last time around. Johnson with 3 fouls on 20 points for Mike Johnson.
And this is a very, very different thing that we were seeing, as Mike Johnson only had 4 points in that entire first half, and now he scored 16 in the second half, so very big turnaround.
Seeming to be a little bit of a transformation, as that has been something we have seen a little bit more in recent weeks, is Mike Johnson early parts of the game not putting up a ton of points, but come the second half, putting the team on his back and doing what he has to do. The Wildcats now trail by 7 with 3:43 left. Jeremiah Jackson with the ball. Johnson fires. Johnson rolls out towards the left corner. Jeremiah Jackson with it. Jackson a little bit of a quick move. Mike Johnson with it. In the corner. Colin Smith down low. Doubled. And the big man finishes strong.
Timeout
we'll
taken
get
by
a full
Coach Hill.
timeout taken by Coach Aaron Hill. We'll take a quick pause, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
And welcome back to the action. Peru State inbound this ball.
And let's get this action back underway. 75-70, our score in favor of Peru State. Hexham with a nice solid screen. However, a nice rollover by both Green and Cullen Smith. Green back in the game with 4 fouls against him so far. Nice job by Jeremiah Jackson to roll over that screen. That one bricks off. And a nice rebound from Johnson gets the over-the-back called against Madrid. The shot came from Deontay McReynolds. And 2:58 is left in this one. The Wildcats have it down by 5. And it's those clutch, empty possessions that the Wildcats need to turn into points here if they want to try and close this one out and take a victory over Peru State.
Both teams now in the bonus now.
Jeremiah Jackson very quick on his feet. Out to Cullen Smith. I thought we were about to see Smith try and drain a 3. And I was very concerned. And now a mid-ranger from Jeremiah Jackson breaks off. Mason fires the rebound. Mike Johnson. Back to Smith. Smith, Jackson. Jackson a drive. The little man gets snatched. Right on up by Brandon Jones. And we're going to see a little bit slower play coming here from Peru State. Bryson London set to check back in. Thaddeus Newby sits down. Going to look for more of the defensive stalwart in London. And Hexham misses the layup and gets brought down by Troy Green. The Wildcats still have a shot in this one. A nice move by Mike Johnson.
And he's going to get fouled.
Now a chance to cut the lead to 3. And the fans are going crazy. They love this action. That is 4 against Hexham. We talked about it. At this point, one of the biggest things is needing to get Hexham out of the way. And Mike Johnson looks to be doing just that. My question is, what kind of game would we be seeing had that been the strategy from the start? And that's good.
As now, all I'm wondering right now, if Hexham goes out, who's going to be defending Cullen Smith in the paint?
I think you'd have to imagine it'd be Brandon Jones, the 6'6" senior power forward, number 5, who's been the number 2 man to Hexham all game. And Mike Johnson makes them both, and we've got a 3-point basketball game on our hands. The Wildcats not in a position where they need to foul.
Double screen setting up right now.
Did not work, Tyrone Carey. Now Hexham with a hand in his face. Not quite, Mason fires the rebound. Mike Johnson going the other way for the Wildcats. For 3.
Ooh.
London tipped it. They're going to say it was London to touch it last. I believe Tyrone Carey did get a piece of it. However, it will remain with Peru State. 1:32 on the clock, 72-75 our score.
Mason Vyers defense right here, top of the key.
And slow play now being made by Peru State. I almost wonder if you want to maybe speed up the process, knowing how clutch the 3-point shooters from the Wildcats have been. And Troy Green does a nice job forcing the pass. from Madrid, and then he blocks it. But it will stay. 2 seconds on the shot clock. They will have a chance to inbound and pop one off here, looking to try and put something on the board.
Timeout called. Peru State they're going to need to draw up something here. Minute 4 left. Wildcats down by 3.
Bob Ludwig will take a 30-second timeout and 1:04 left on the clock. They want to put points on the board as any Culver Stockton three-point shooter could get the ball right here. I believe we're going to see a decent chance of Thaddeus Newby coming in. Silent from 3 all game, but it might be the moment that they want to go to Thad.
As looking up on that board right now, we're seeing 4 Culver Stockton players in double digits.
Only 2 or 3 on the side of Peru State, and that is going to be Jones. That is Jones, Madrid, and Hexham. Hexham with 33, Jones with 19, Madrid with 12. If that doesn't tell you the impact Hexham has had, the 3 players that have combined for the most points, or had the most points in total, have combined for a total of 64 of the 75. The inbound, and then the pull, airballed out, and it's going to be a Wildcat basketball. And here, how crazy could this get? And Mike Johnson, knowing Mike, put the team on his shoulders type mentality right here. Back out London. Troy Green, Cullen Smith. Smith out to Mike Johnson. Johnson a drive opportunity. Oh, he broke Hexham's ankles. But he misses the shot, but then it's going to be Cullen Smith. Puts it down. They want the foul. They're not going to get it. 74-75. But I'm looking over at the area under the basket, and I'm seeing Lyle Hexham's ankles still sitting there as the quick move from Mike Johnson had him sliding backwards. And he sent him into another dimension with that play, and all of a sudden we have a 1-point game with 33.6 seconds left. And I know you and I have talked about it a few times. It is something. And all of a sudden, Scott Perrine going to take over Pat Robinson's job of mopping the court right now. And he's, oh man, absolute disrespect to Lyle Hexham as he wipes up the spot where he went down.
The very big thing right there. Foul was not called on Hexham, so very interesting to see that no call, as Hexham's going to stay in this game. So Wildcats still need to respect his distance.
The range of Hexham could easily put this game on ice. However, I think if you look at the Wildcats' game plan, the thing that you do is, I think you see a foul here. With the 1-and-1 opportunity and the limited free throw percentage that has come out of this game for Peru State, a foul here and you give them a 1-and-1, chance to make one, maybe both. Very low chance of both, in my opinion, thus making it a 2-point game. You'll then see the Wildcats having an opportunity to put Mike Johnson, Mason Byers, Cullen Smith, any of these guys to try and drive and put 2 more points on the board. Stick around after this one. We'll go through a quick 2-3 minute recap and head on out afterwards. And that's where the foul needs to, and a swat! Oh, and it's stolen by the Wildcats! Oh my gosh! They're going the other way as that thing was, and now a drive. Kick to Jeremiah Jackson, 20 seconds. No shot clock in place. The Wildcats do not need to be rushed at all. Timeout taken. I think that's a great decision, and what kind of game are we about to witness? We've seen them upset one team this year as William Penn fell to the Wildcats 93-92 earlier on in this one. In overtime, now the Wildcats with 14.5 seconds have the ball, down by 1 against the number 11 in the country, Peru State Bobcats. And could you imagine the momentum builder that this could be right now, as the next game at home for the Wildcats is the number 3 Benedictine Ravens.
Troy Green checking in for the Wildcats, 14.7. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to use a Troy Green screen here.
Hey, it's called the green screen for a reason. It's coming. And all of a sudden, campus safety is here trying to keep this crowd under control, and we are about to get a crazy finish. When you look back, I doubt that Peru State came in expecting this sort of nail-biter to be the ender of this one. But the revenge tour continues for the Wildcats, looking to put this one out of reach, looking to finish this game and try and move to 14-12 on the season.
The student section is getting on their feet.
Yeah, and all the gentlemen down here, they are getting everyone up, as this could be a huge moment for Wildcat basketball. And let's just remember who the man was that won that game against William Penn. He just checked in, and that is Troy Green with a punishing layup below the rim. And this fans are crazy, on their feet and excited for this. The inbound from Byers finds Johnson. Johnson, kick out. Jeremiah Jackson, a pump fake, a drive from the little man. And he's fouled. So a 1-and-1 opportunity for the little man, Jeremiah Jackson.
And the surrender cobra coming out from Coach Ludwig. Both hands on his head, elbows out. He was thinking, what the heck just happened?
And now Jeremiah Jackson with 1-and-1 chance. Jackson, 65%, and that's ties this one up. 75s across the board. Bob Ludwig's arms are crossed. And now you gotta keep an eye, Hexum and Smith on the rebound, and it's gonna be brought down. And now, loose ball. Yes, it's gonna be a Wildcat ball! And the crowd is going wild right now. Coach Tom Sally of the Wildcats. All of the student section being held back with 4.8 seconds. The Wildcats have the ball under the rim. And I think I just saw it again, both arms behind the head.
The surrender cobra coming back out. Mike Johnson takes the ball. Under 3, 2, 1.
Spin around. Oh my God! You're looking for one, guys! What a play! You're looking for a play!
Oh my gosh! What a play! Wildcats upset number 11, Peru State, 77-75.
And the Peru State Bobcats will now have the long bus ride home. And I'm looking at Mr. Cullen Smith right now. Looking at Mr. Cullen Smith. Let's go! And that is excitement from my buddy Carter Kinnick. And we'll go into a coverage here and a recap in a moment. But the face of Mike Johnson set it all on the turnaround fadeaway jumper. It falls, and not even an excited chest pump, but he just looked and stared down his own student section because he knew what he had just made happen. And here, this might be my favorite tradition that I have seen in NAIA sports, as the fans will applaud the players and the players will applaud the fans as Culver Stockton takes the win and Aaron Hill gets the mosh pit directly below us. 77-75, the Wildcats take the victory. And I noticed something there. I want to take a moment to point out, as usual, right in front of our scorer's desk, after the game, they do their nice lines and high fives. A large majority of the Peru State lineup had already made their way to the locker room. And apparently it's on video. I'm looking down here. Luke Blackburn, one of the captains for our men's soccer team, is showing the video that he got that fadeaway jumper from Mike Johnson. And can I tell you, when that kid, I say, puts the team on his back, nothing defines that sentence more than that play.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing finish to this one. And I would go into a post-game recap, but I don't know what more you can say besides the Wildcats just an amazing finish.
Shock and awe. How about that? Wildcats going from being down by 4, come back, win it.
The carry called against Brian Jones at the end. And all of a sudden the Wildcats with 4.8 seconds. And who better do you give the ball to than number 3, Mike Johnson? And you saw him, I looked at him, and he decides to dribble at the top of the key, and I'm expecting him either to go just the long-range pop or just the straight drive and try and get the foul on the way to the rack. But the spin-around, fadeaway jumper from the baseline is what does it, and I think that's all you can say.
Yeah, amazing game, amazing time here at
It's
the
always
Hill.
a blast calling with you, Carter. And on that note, I think that's where we're going to call it quits. We thank y'all for tuning in. Check up for Carter's interview with Coach, an excited Coach Aaron Hill later on tonight
on the CSC Wildcats homepage. Amazing game, amazing everything right now. 77-75, your final score from the Hill.
From the Joe Charles Fieldhouse, this is Luke Schoenfelder and
Carter Kinnaid.